Hello, Miss Bell's Algebra 2. This is March 22nd, the review, the mid-chapter 4 test review, taking a look at these problems, going a little bit back to this stuff. Remember when it is in this form here that we have remember the HK or the X and the Y that we're dealing with here. I was going to show you the notes from whence these came. So let's take a look at the notes from way back here. Vertex form. Remember, this is vertex form. So you have the vertex right here, your H and K. So remember, it's negative H. So and just the H itself and the K is going to be your vertex. Okay, so this is just the H itself. You don't have to bring the negative with it. Okay, so in other words, if this was a plus 3, your vertex would be negative 3 because two negatives would make that positive. But this is negative H, so I have 3 and negative 4, K is my vertex. Okay, and then that's going to be a maximum value because remember it's negative. So remember negative in front of the X is going to make it frown. Think of negative, think of frowning, think of opening down. And so that's going to be my value. Y equals negative 4 is going to be my maximum value. And the range is going to be, well, I figured out the range after you plot some points. Now, the way you're going to plot some points is you hit y equals, so you turn on your calculator, y equals, and you just type the problem in. And you see I have this one in here. And you just type, your negative is down here, your x is this x right here, your parentheses, all that good stuff, okay? Once you type that in, then you're going to hit the second button right here, second, and you want to table it. So that's table up here, that's the graph button. So second and table. And then so now you have this table, and you're going to look for like whole numbers that you can plot. You'll see as you go up your no, I don't want to go up, I want to go down. You can see where your vertex is, 3, negative 4, right? So you just want a couple points above and a couple points below. So notice here at 2, you're going to be at negative 5. So you go to 2, negative 5, put a point there, and so on and so forth. And then you can see some of the other points. So find your vertex, grab a couple points above it, a couple points below it, like 5, negative 8, 5, negative 8, and just plot those points so that you could get, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, so it kind of looks kind of good. Okay? That's how you do that one. Number 1. Number 3, I'm just doing the odd ones. Number 3, notice that it's just the same, but it's not negative. It's going to be a positive. Think of positive X. Think of a smiley face. Positive things happening. Smiley face, looking good. Okay, so my vertex here is 3, negative 4. Just like this was 3, negative 4, same thing. Now this is going to be the minimum value. The minimum value is when y equals negative 4. Okay, that gives you the minimum value of this graph. And so you do the same thing. You just go in, plug this in, find the vertex 3, negative 4, grab a couple before, a couple after. It's going to tell you where to plot those points. Now, as far as the range, I'm sorry, I did not explain the range. Y, so our y values, everything less than negative 4. It could equal negative 4, and everything less. Every time you pick a y value that is less than negative 4, it's going to be on this graph. So you're going to find points on this graph for it. That's what that means. The range for number 3 is y is going to be greater than everything, greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so it's everything above negative 4. Number 5, going to this one, you could plug it into your calculator, but you really don't need to. first thing you got to do is find the vertex, right? So the vertex is going to be A, B, C. And remember, this is set up in standard form, A, B, C, and you have your exponents, going down, so have your highest exponent, have your 2 here. So, to the second power, I mean. So, my A equals -2, my B equals 16, and my C equals -33. Don't really need the C right here, because I'm going to do the vertex, how you find the highest point or the lowest point is going to be -b over 2a. So -b, -16 over 2, what's a? -2. So I have -16 over -4. That is just 16 divided by 4, which is 4. I plug in my 4, boom, back into this problem for x, because that's telling me what x equals, okay? So I plug in my x value, and when I plug in my x value 4, I get -1 when I work out that problem. What I'm going to do is go to grab 2 numbers before, 2 numbers after, and just plug it in my calculator. And I put my x values in parentheses so I know I could just use the back button on my calculator and plug in those values. So I plug in the 2s, I plug in the 3s, I plug in the 5s, I plug in the 6s, and this is what I came up with. Now I have points that I can plot. Okay? So I found out that the vertex is 4, -1. When I plugged in that 4, it gave me -1 as my y value. Okay, and so it's a maximum value where y equals -1. And the range is y is less than everything is below -1. It could equal -1. And if it did equal -1, we know our x would equal 4. But everything else is below it. So it's negative. All right, that's how you do those. I want to take a look at some of the factoring. This one I'm going to factor out of 10 because a 10 could go into this and this. Factor out of 10, I'm left with p plus 1 on the inside of the parentheses. This one is I'm going to figure out, I have x squared, so we know x times x. I'm doing FOIL backwards here. Okay, I got to think of, what I can multiply and get -20, but add and get -8. Well, 10 and 2. 10 and 2, when I multiply, I get 20. And if I subtract, if I take a -10 times the 2, I get -20. That's even better. And -10 plus 2 gives me -8. Excellent. And so, and then you notice that when I do FOIL backwards, if I do first and outside, inside, last, I come right back to this. Okay, I'm going to figure out, what I can multiply together to get 14r squared. Well, or 16r squared, I get 4r and 4r. What can I multiply together to get -25, but when I add them together, I get nothing, because notice I don't have anything like r here. Like this had just an x here. I don't have anything with just a plain old r here. I have nothing, so it's got to equal 0. Well, that would be 5 times 5. So -5 times +5 gives me -25, but -5 plus 5 gives me 0, so I have nothing in here. So that would be 0, with the 4r's when I do FOIL backwards. This one, I'm just going to factor out something. Notice I could take out 3 out of all of these. 3 goes into 15, 24, and 21 is my greatest common factor, GCF. And then I'm going to have, and if you have a problem with that, you could look online and just, grab a GCF calculator. Don't let that stop you. And you'll plug in 15, 24, and 21, and you'll get 3. It'll tell you 3 is the greatest common factor. Then I'm going to take out 2 n's. So 2 n's is the highest I can go on all of them, okay? Then that would include all of them, okay? If I did 8, because that confuses people when I say that. Well, they say, well, 8 is the highest. Yeah, but I can't take 8 out of here because it only has 3. And I can't take out of here, definitely, because it only has 2, okay? If I took 3, I could take it out of these 2, but I can't take it out of this one because it only has 2. So the maximum amount is 2 that I could take out. And then that leaves me with 1 here, and that leaves me with 6 here. It leaves me with none here because it was n2 to begin with. Okay? So I just factor all that out, and that's what you have left. 3 times 5 is the 15, n squared times n6 gives me n8. 3 times a negative 8 gives me negative 24. N squared plus the 1n gives me the n3. And 3n squared times 7 gives me 21n squared, just looking at it backwards. Okay, this one, I split up my x's. And then, what can I multiply to get negative 54? But when I add them together, I get a positive 3. Well, that would be 9 and 6. A positive 9 and a negative 6. When I multiply positive 9 times negative 6, I get negative 54. When I take a positive 9 minus 6, I get positive 3. Excellent. Good luck with the even ones, and good luck with the test tomorrow.